great opportunity to meet both of you. This is so great. And I have to tell you, we are loving this series in our household. It is so fantastic. I was so excited when the commercial came on CNN and Sean Hayes goes, "We're back." And I'm like, yes. And I set the PVR. It's so good. Let's start with you, Mark, because, this has got to be, is it a hard series to put together? Because you have to coordinate so many comedians.
Yes. Yes, it's a hard series to put together. We started about a year ago, actually, and spent the summer making calls and knocking on doors and seeing if people would do it. And I think we had 75 interviews. About 10 of those are historians or people who know about comedy, and the rest are comedians.
Yeah.
It was great.
It's amazing. And how are you enjoying being a part of this? Because we will talk about your other stuff in a minute.
That's amazing.
But this is such a great series. Was it something that you jumped at and said, I got to be a part of this one?
I mean, I didn't jump at because it wasn't offered to me. I went into my boss's office, Amy and Tellis was like, "How are you making a comedy series without me in it? I'm the only claimed comedian on staff.
Yeah.
The only claimed one. I'm not saying there aren't other comedians on the staff. But I'm the one who's,
that's a whole other story.
I'm the one who files his taxes as a comedian. And they're like, "We were going to ask you." I'm like, because I was really excited to talk about comedy. I think comedians, as he said, comedy doesn't get taken seriously.
Yeah.
And so we are excited to sort of go, look, there's actually an art here, and actually sort of take people behind the curtain.
Absolutely, and I you learn so much, but then you have some veterans that you talk to, like Carl Reiner.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how can you not sit there and not talk to them for 24 hours, and then not use everything that these people are saying?
Well, not only Carl Reiner, but Rob Reiner as well. We got
exactly.
Both of them. Rob, we had, Carl, I should say, we met when we were doing a series on CNN called The 60s, and he was gracious enough to give an interview, so we went back to him. Obviously, we wanted to get his perspective, and somebody who's, I think, 94, has great perspective on comedy over the years. Wish we got Mel Brooks, but we didn't. But we got Carl Reiner, who was able to give us great stuff.
Well, Betty White.
Betty White.
I mean, it's
two nonagenarians in our.
It's pretty amazing. Yeah, I mean, it's seriously. I watched Carl Reiner's special that he did on HBO, and again, like these people, like they just never age. They're so quick. They're amazing. Do you guys sit there in awe when you meet people like this?
100%.
Yeah, I do think that like comedy is good to keep your brain working.
Yeah.
I think it's because you're always looking at angles, you're always trying to figure things out, you're always breaking down the world around you. So we've had a lot of comedians, luckily, who have aged and aged well. George Burns would still be working. He was right there up until the end.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, honest to God, it's amazing. You're so right. It does keep you sharp. There's no question. I love how they're all divided up into different topics. The one that you're going to be talking about here in Montreal is the spark of madness. Now, I mean, this is a topic we can talk about for hours and hours because from the history of when comedians started, that sadly, mental illness, substance abuse, and I was just saying before we came in here, I've interviewed Robin Williams. Had the pleasure of interviewing him, 6, 7, 8 times. Like the first time was when I was pregnant with my son. I was 9 months, and he did a 5-minute stand-up routine on giving birth. I mean, just bang. It wasn't even rehearsed. And every time I met him, always remembered who I was. Always was. The bottom line is here, you just never know what's happening behind the curtain. How hard was it to put this episode together? Because it's got to be a sad one.
Well, we've always looked at this particular series as a serious look at comedy.
Yeah.
We wanted to, I think, understand what makes something funny and why people laugh. And so we did a deep dive, and obviously there are comedians who have a base of comedy that comes from some form of tumult in their life, and that can come from anything. That can be addiction, that could be mental illness, or just not a great childhood. Who knows?
Right.
In Robin's case, I don't know if that was where it came from, but he was obviously a gifted comedian. I never met him in real life. Did you ever meet him?
Yeah, I did.
What I have said about him is that obviously he was very funny. I knew him as an audience member since he came out in '77, I think, when Mork and Mindy started, obviously. But I loved his dramatic stuff.
Absolutely.
Here's somebody who goes from just rip-roaringly funny comedy and off-the-cuff improv to really great dramatic roles. It's a hard thing to do.
Yeah, but I always say this. I think the best dramatic actors are comedians. I mean, Jim Carrey, hello? I mean, you can go on and look at some of these performances from a lot of comedians, and they're damn good when they do their drama. I mean, seriously, it's mind-boggling. So do you have to have something so traumatic in your life to get the comedy?
No, I mean, Jerry Seinfeld is one of the greatest comedians of all time, and unless he's lying to us, he had a great childhood. So I think to be the kind of comic that Richard Pryor is, you have to have a traumatic childhood because you can't make that up. But I think that comedy is just a communication device.
Yeah.
It's just a language. It's just what you want to communicate. Now the gift is in how you communicate it, but that's why you can have, like, if you're putting together the Mount Rushmore of comedy, Richard Pryor and Seinfeld can both be on that Mount Rushmore. But it doesn't mean that they both came from the same place.
Yeah, who knows where comedy comes from? But just even a dramatic actor or even a cellist, might get their art from some tumult in their life, but it doesn't have to come from that. But this episode just happens to look at some of those people that's where it came from.
Yeah, and then I just watched the one about the politics, and oh my goodness, you guys in America, you have a lot that you can draw from. I'm sorry. I mean, we have the good-looking prime minister. We won't go into who you're, the president. I mean, my goodness, just yesterday. Honest to
Be
God.
careful with those good-looking leaders, because the next person who follows them is not always as good as you want them to be.
Exactly, right?
We used to have a very good-looking guy,
We
very
did.
well-spoken, intelligent, and we're like, nah, we're done with that.
Yeah, we're done with him, and look what you got now. Yeah. And honestly, though, but isn't it so ripe? Every day he's giving you such great material.
I mean, it's sort of like the California gold rush. You can't get all the gold. Yeah. And if you're not careful, you just be picking up some rocks. So I think that if you just grab everything. So I really think right now everybody's funnier in America because Trump is president. Yeah. Even people who agree with him are funnier because he just provides so much stuff. But as comedians, we have to really sift through and find the good stuff.
I can imagine.
Every joke you write is being written at 8 in the morning is being written by 100,000 people on Twitter.
But it's got to anger you. It's got to make you angry.
Which part?
All of it.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I think I write from a place of frustration and anger. So, I mean, that's where a lot of comedy can come from. All comedy, I think, comes from frustration. It's just the levels of frustration. Whether it's Seinfeld, it's like the sock in the dryer. That's still frustration. Yeah. Or me, like, police brutality. So there's just which is hilarious.
Which is hilarious,
as he knows. So there's just different levels. It's just different types of frustration. Yeah, rip-roaringly funny. But it's the frustration where the comedy comes from. The fact that the reality of what you think the world should be isn't matching up to the reality of what the world is.
Yeah. Okay. Well, a good segue because first off, congratulations, 2 Emmy nominations, United Shades of America. Not just for the show. Hello.
I know.
We got an Emmy.
Believe me.
Nominated last year too.
Yeah, I know. I mean, this is very exciting. Wow. Do you still go I'm on CNN and I'm nominated for an Emmy?
I mean, yeah, the whole thing. I mean, my whole career, when it works out, is when it feels the most surreal.
Yeah.
So I think that the last 5 years of my career have felt pretty surreal. But I know if I'm making choices that feel weird, that I'm probably in the right place. So when CNN goes, do you want to host a show on CNN? And it's like, no comedian's ever done that. Why would that work? Perfect. You know what I mean? Do we talk about Seinfeld? I don't think I can lead a sitcom. I don't think that's my lane. I don't think I can be Kevin Hart because I don't have that.
Yeah. He's working up to that. Yeah.
I can't be Kevin Hart. I don't have the abs primarily. But this feels like the one job in television that I have access to that I like. That feels like I couldn't do anything else right now.
Yeah. Well, I want to ask you about that show because oh my God, are you ever brave? Honestly, does your wife not say to you dude, maybe not this episode?
No, my wife is far braver than I am. She knows I would pull the cord on anything that got too crazy well before she would think to. Yeah.
But do you not get nervous a little bit? You've really taken it to the wow. I get nervous watching you.
Well, I mean, I think again, the nerves are what let me know I'm in the right area. Sometimes when we're filming things and I don't feel any sort of investment in it, I'm not scared or nervous or angry, then I'm we're probably not getting good stuff.
Yeah.
So for me, that's the thing that makes me feel if I'm feeling this way, somebody at home is feeling this way.
So the scariest thing I think coming up for you would be sitting down with President Trump then.
Oh, God, people say that. I don't know why people are so mad at me. I'd rather talk to the Klan again if I had to choose. Is that too far, CNN publicist? No, okay, good.
How about Scaramucci?
Oh yeah, that'd be fun. He knows how to play tennis. So I feel like I would like to play tennis with him.
Wow. Yeah. So what else can we expect from the history of comedy for fans of this series?
Well, we're doing another season.
Great.
So
because there's got to be a lot of stuff that you got to.
There's 1,000 themes, and we're doing another 6 episodes for next summer. And we did.
And adding a new producer.
All right, congratulations.
So here's the question: you've been on my show. How come I haven't been on your show?
I mean, I don't know that you weren't on my show. I've done episodes where I didn't see everybody.
Yeah, I know I wasn't on your show.
Well, maybe pop up on an episode of Will and Grace too. I'd like to see that. You got to get in there somehow, right?
Yes, I would.
I think you've got the.
I try to do anything Sean Hayes tells me to do. That's
good stuff. Well, congratulations. It's such a pleasure to be able to talk to both of you. Such a great series, great show.
Thank you.
fingers crossed for the Emmys and everything, and just have fun here in Montreal. Great talking to you both. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
You're very welcome. Thank you.